So maybe you've been trying to manifest your dream life. You want a house on the water, or you want abundance flowing to you, or it may be that soulmate that you just so badly wanted to attract into your life. You've been manifesting, trying to manifest, following the law of attraction, watching all the Abraham Hicks videos, and you can't figure out why you cannot manifest your dream life. I see it over and over again, people in the spiritual community. So this week I wanted to dive in the number one reason why you are not manifesting the dream life you want. All right, guys, welcome to this week's episode with yours truly. This is such a common theme that I see in the spiritual community. It happened to me when I first entered the spiritual world and had an awakening and learned all about law of attraction, thoughts are things, and manifestation. Is that we get in, it's like we want to win the lottery, right? Like if I could just manifest the right numbers on the lotto ticket, then I could win a lot of money, and then I could live my dream life, right? I could buy this big house that I want to buy, I could travel the world, I could attract a partner that I want. And so we're always trying to manifest something that we think will make us feel better, right? So if we get a different house, if we move to a different area, if we get to quit our job, then we will feel better. And then, we'll get to live our dream life. We'll manifest our dream life. And so when people first enter the spiritual community, they're sort of at that surface level of the law of attraction. They're sort of at the surface level of spiritual growth, of a spiritual path. And so they're like, okay, I'm going to learn the law of attraction. I'm going to learn how to manifest. And then I'm going to get all this money. And then I'm going to get all these people around me. And then, everything's going to be perfect. And so then they start trying to work with the law of attraction. Maybe they start meditating. Maybe they start doing vision boards, whatever it may be. They start actively trying to use the law of attraction and manifest something in their life. And maybe sometimes you actually get what you want to manifest. I always say manifestation is really not that difficult. It's really not that hard. However, you will find that two problems. You'll either manifest things and then it'll feel good for a little bit, and then you need to manifest the next thing so that you can feel good again, right? It sort of sounds like that vicious cycle that a lot of us are in. Or like, if I get that thing, then I'll feel really good. And then I get it, and then it feels really good for a little bit until I need that again. And then I need that thing again. And then I need that thing again. And then we're constantly playing that loop of, I need this thing outside of me to make me feel good inside of me. So you may actually learn how to use the law of attraction and manifest things, but you're finding yourself stuck in that loop of, well, it only lasts really good for a little bit and then it doesn't last. Or you may be, number two, you just really struggle with manifestation. You really struggle with the law of attraction. So one of the things that I have the people do that come into my Authentic Life Blueprint program, in one of the lessons, they pick something to manifest. So it's usually something really small that they don't have any attachment to. The first exercise I walk them through is called the ladder experiment by Neville Goddard. And it's basically just walking them through a process where they manifest a ladder. There's more to it, but that's the gist of it. Because most people don't have an attachment to a ladder. And then after that, they actually get to pick something else that they want to manifest. So maybe it's a blue feather, maybe it's a puzzle piece, maybe it's, I don't know, one time I picked a glue stick, $2 bills, peacock feathers, like whatever. It's just something small that they don't have an attachment to. Like they're not like, oh my God, this is never going to show up for me. They don't believe that they can't manifest it. And for the most part, most of the people that go through the course can manifest this object. I could manifest objects super, super, super quickly. And so they can manifest maybe some small objects, but then when it comes to the bigger things, like their dream life, like, oh, I'm going to manifest the most perfect partner. I'm going to manifest the most perfect partner into my life. Or I'm going to manifest money. I'm going to manifest winning the lottery. Okay? So if you see this in yourself and recognize this in yourself, this is really common. This is the path of most human beings, the path of most individuals. If I get these things outside of me, I'll feel better on the inside of me. However, there is a really big problem that stands in your way of creating these bigger things, okay? So the little things, all right, I can manifest a feather, I can manifest these things, no big deal, right? I put it in my mind's eye, I visualize it, I raise my energy, I raise my vibration, I get really happy, I feel as if I have the object already, and then, the object shows up pretty quickly. However, when we're talking about bigger things, including a dream life, including what does a dream life look like for you? Is it, like I said, the most perfect partner? Is it the most fulfilling job? Is it maybe not having a job? Is it traveling the world? Is it having lots of money? And so then people try, who enter the spiritual world, to manifest these bigger things. But there is something inside your brain called the default self. This is part of your subconscious programming. This is, as many people have called it, your thermostat or your set point. Okay, so basically all that means is that in the first 7 years of your life, your brain was basically programmed like a software program on a computer. Literally, there is no different. And in those first 7 years, because you were in a very slow brainwave state, you were in a theta brainwave state, it's basically hypnosis. You were basically in a state of hypnosis the first 7 years of your life. And in that first 7 years, your brain was imprinted with who you are as an identity, meaning what your subconscious thoughts are, what your set points are, your thermostat points, everything that you believe in life right now about yourself and about the world was imprinted in those first 7 years. Now, here's the problem. Those are imprinted in your subconscious mind. They're stored in the limbic system of your brain. You do not have now, in your life right now, you do not have conscious access to that part of your brain. Not unless you can get into specific states, specific levels of consciousness to access that. So many people say, well, I don't know what my subconscious beliefs are. I don't know I don't remember. I don't have memories. I don't know what my imprints are. And you know what the number one tool I tell people? Look at your life. Look at your life, because your life experiences will tell you exactly what your thermostat is. It will tell you exactly what your subconscious beliefs are. So if you're constantly struggling with money, okay, this is a really big one. If you're constantly struggling with money, meaning you're most likely probably the person that's wanting to manifest a lot of money because you don't have it, because you're struggling with it. You have subconscious beliefs around money. Your default self. This is what in my program we refer to as the person that was imprinted on the first 7 years and then became an identity. So you have inner child work, which deals with those first 7 years in your inner child, but then you have the identity that then created a whole life after that. That is your default self. Your default self is what creates your reality. Your default self is what allows things to show up in your world. That is your default self. So if you are trying to manifest a lotto ticket, but you have all sorts of subconscious beliefs, meaning the default self has all sorts of beliefs around money, it will literally block you from winning the lottery. You will not win. You will not manifest winning the lottery because you have too many default self thoughts and beliefs around money. The person that is abundant, the version of you that is abundant, is not the version of you that you are right now. So it's not about let's hurry up and quickly manifest the lotto ticket so that then I can become happy. It's not about that. It's about reprogramming this default self to become the person that believes they are the attractor of money. Right now, you don't believe that, at least not subconsciously. You may try to say with your 5% of your conscious mind, by the way, you only have access to 5% of your conscious mind. 95% is happening in the background, all based on those first 7 years of your default self imprinting. You might say like, oh, I'm going to manifest this, I'm going to manifest money, and it will never happen because your default self is standing in the way. With that being said, that is the number one thing that is standing in your way, your default self. The person in you that believes either money is hard to come by, money doesn't grow on trees, money is the root of all evil, money is a bad thing, people shouldn't be charging a lot of money. Did you know that every single time you judge somebody for having a lot of money, you're saying to your brain, I don't want money? Every single time you say that, you're telling your brain over and over and over again, I don't want money, because people who charge are bad. People who have a lot of money are bad, and your subconscious mind doesn't want you to be bad. So it's going to keep you from attracting abundance. If you are trying to manifest the most perfect soulmate partner, but your default self says you aren't worthy of love, or your default self says, I need a person to make me feel loved, or if your default self says, all men in the world screw you, all men are bad, all men will hurt you. If that is the default self-programming because of the first 7 years of your life, maybe your dad didn't treat your mother very good. Maybe your dad wasn't around. Maybe you saw really unhealthy relationship dynamics. And so the system went, okay, we're just not going to be in relationships because that's what's going to keep us safe. Because they're all coping mechanisms because of those first 7 years. And so if you're trying to attract your most desirable soulmate, because again, you think that soulmate's going to make you feel better, but your default self keeps having all these subconscious beliefs that you're not worthy, that will never come, because deep down inside, you're only going to attract what your set point is, what your thermostat is, what your frequency is. So how do you attract the most perfect partner in the world? You become to yourself the most perfect partner in the world. And that involves letting go of the default self. First, becoming aware of who the default self is, becoming aware of all that imprinting, and then making different actions, stepping in your life in different ways than the default self would. You cannot keep acting and behaving as the default self, because guess what? That is going to just keep bringing you more of the same. So if you first don't recognize who the default self is, that's the first step in the process. Who is my default self? You think you are who you are. You're not who you are. You're a programmed identity. So you have to start becoming aware of who that default self is, number one. Then you have to start acting differently than the default self. Meaning, if you looked at the bank account on your screen, and every time you had to pay a bill, you got really mad and angry, and you're like, oh my God, and you got into the victim mindset, and you're like, I'm never gonna catch up. You find yourself even in the background saying these things, and then you try to do something because you're scared. You hold on to money somewhere and you're scared. That's just acting, feeling, and behaving as the default self, and that's what's gonna keep happening. So of course you're not gonna manifest a bunch of money because you don't know how to act or feel like the person with all the money. You don't know how to do something differently. So you become aware, then you can do something differently in the moment where it really matters. In those small everyday moments where it really matters. When you start acting differently and feeling differently, watch out, your manifestation skills will skyrocket because you're actually moving in life as whatever it is that you're trying to manifest. You're moving through life as if that is already happening. So you're waiting for the life of vacation to feel like you have a life of vacation instead of feeling like you have a life of vacation now, becoming that person. So then that manifestation or that reality can then show up. It doesn't work the other way. It doesn't work like, oh, I'm going to manifest this life of traveling all the time. And then, the traveling all the time, all of a sudden something big happens and I can travel all the time. 99% of the time, it's not going to happen like that. You have to become the person that travels all the time in order to attract that, in order to manifest that. It does not work the other way around. The feeling creates the event. The event does not create the feeling ever. This is how the law of attraction works. So you have to become really aware of the default self. Number one tool, your default self. Become aware of that. What is that? How am I then acting and behaving in that way? And then how can I then act and behave and think differently? Not as the default self, but as the chosen self. Not as the one that never gets to travel and is stuck in a shitty job, but the one that gets to travel the world and has passion and purpose in her job. Not as the person who's always struggling with money and bills constantly coming up and constantly being a negative about other people that have money or charge money. I want to become the person that loves money, because if I love money and I have a lot of money, I can do more good in the world. I can't do good when I don't have money. I can't be poor enough to help poor people. Money is actually a great thing. It's not the money that's a bad thing. People in the spiritual community go, oh, money's such a bad thing. It's not the money that's a bad thing. Money is neutral. It's the energy in which people are using that money. So money will help you if you are in a good place, and it will help you help other people. So with all that being said, number one reason why you're not manifesting your dream life your default self. Become aware of your default self. Start changing that. Start changing your energy around that, your thermostat around that, and watch your dream life show up for you. I hope this helped, guys. Let me know in the comments below. Please let me know if this is helping you or if I'm just sitting here talking to the camera and not adding any value to your life, because I do these things to add value. So let me know if it's adding value. Let me know if it's helpful. Let me know if you figured out who your default self is. And I will see you on the next episode. Don't forget, like and subscribe if you like the content. I love you all. See you next time.